While others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
we celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast.
I'm Alex Kumin.
And I'm Drew King. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud.
that's right. And today we are so damn excited to have one of our dear, dear, dear friends today on the podcast, the incredible, remarkable, hysterical Judson Morrow. Thank you so much for this.
So delightful to be here. I'm buzzing. It might be the caffeine and nicotine, but it's also the general vibe of the room.
Yes.
We do bring nicotine, caffeine vibes. I will say that.
Yes, because you are in the midst of, you're in the mud with trying to quit your vape addiction. Not addiction, but just get rid of the vape.
Oh, honey, it's an addiction.
It's an addiction.
It's
Call it
impossible
what it
not to be
is.
addicted to those things.
I started to quit 6 days ago.
Oh my God, 6 days.
So I'm in it. Like, we're still detoxing. I
Yeah.
do have, like, the patch and the gum as an aid, but, like, the habit, I probably hit that thing 400 times a day.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever used a vape. I've
Good
used like
for you.
a weed
Get
vape,
Yeah, very
started.
much good
but
for
I've never
you.
used a like
Nicotine.
coconut melon vape. You know, like I don't know. It's
They
always like
make
a
them-
weird flavor.
I know, it's like banana, chocolate,
Yeah.
raspberry. Like,
Ugh.
What's always the funniest is the mismatch between the flavor and the body in front of you. Like, I'll see 240 pounds of muscle and then get a whiff of, like, strawberry banana. And I'm like, I did not think that was your flavor,
that
sir.
did not
but-
try.
I already want to give that person a blowjob. He sounds
Yeah.
really hot.
He's so hot.
So hot. Of course he is. Of course. So that brings us right to our topic today.
Yeah.
Our muddy topic. We're going to talk about addiction and recovery, Judson. So you are 6
Yeah.
days sober from your vape.
Correct.
Do you want to elaborate on the other substances you are sober from and
Oh,
what
yeah.
what your journey is here?
Of course. So I decided to quit vaping on the same day that I turned a year back.
Yes.
Thanks to your brother, actually, because
man.
yeah, he's so sweet. While I was out last spring, and out means like using, I picked up smoking cigarettes again, and then I saw my dad why do I laugh about this? I saw my dad in stroke rehab, and
Oof.
I got a visual of like what it would look like if I continued to smoke.
Yeah.
So my brothers, who both vape very sweetly, were like, "You should vape instead of cigarettes." And when I talked to your brother, I was just like, "Dude, I'm like getting sober again," and I picked up vaping, and he was just very sweetly like, "Go with grace. Like, it's gonna be hard
Yeah.
to get sober again, so just like vape until you hit a year, and then give it up." So I hit a year, substance free, including vaping.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because like if I hit a vape, I'm not gonna stay up for 4 days.
Yeah.
And try to fuck everything.
I mean, speak for
You're on
yourself.
like a 9-day vape bender.
Yeah.
Just fucking melon.
Jules.
I don't know. I keep going back to melon. Melon just grosses me out as a flavor. It's like cantaloupe, and you're like,
Yeah,
why?
why? Who chose
Okay.
this?
Okay.
Like cantaloupe smoke.
Oh, gross. It's like a banana
Fruit
run
salad.
flavors.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a
Oh.
banana run
I
makes
was
me want
just
to puke.
talking to
It tastes
someone
like
about
car
that.
sickness.
You can't replicate some flavors. Yeah,
Yeah.
cantaloupe and banana
Yeah.
are both.
Cantaloupe. Right?
Actually, speaking of flavors, I wouldn't say triggered, but like my main DOC drug of choice is crystal meth.
Yes.
And there are like bitter field greens. Like think of like the kind of salad you would get in this neighborhood here in the West Village. Like a lettuce that you've never heard
With
of.
like
that you can't
dandelion
pronounce.
greens.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll taste it and be like, this tastes so methy. It's crazy. Yeah, like bitter field greens. Taste like meth.
God,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Who
Field
knew?
greens.
Mhm.
Who knew?
That's so wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you don't know that from personal
From
experience.
experience?
Thank
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Thank God.
I love
But it's around. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait. First, we need to recap exactly who you are. We didn't even talk
Yeah.
about that and how we
Yeah.
know each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so Judson is best friends with my older homosexual brother,
Mhm.
who is also sober and is also in recovery. But his drug of choice was alcohol and I don't know, he can tell whatever else. When he comes on for his episode, it's not my place to be like, he does all these things, but I know he'll be listening. So, hi, Dennis.
Hi.
Hey, Dennis.
What's that?
But he is sober from alcohol, and you are sober from crystal meth.
Correct.
So you and Dennis met working at Gramercy Tavern in New York City, which is the most delightful restaurant in the world.
I'm best friends with Danny Meyer.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Danny Meyer.
So that's how I know you. I know you from Dennis, but you are also you're a comedian in my book. You're also a podcaster. You're the host of Dads and Daddies podcast. Everyone go subscribe and like and listen. They're so fucking hysterical. Do you want to give a 2-minute elevator pitch of what Dads and Daddies is?
I mean, honey, I'm in sales. I can do it in 15 seconds.
Oh,
yes, sales.
Rip it. Let's
Maybe
go.
30. So my friend Brian is a Gen X father of 2,
Mhm.
gay dad. I am a sexual, spiritual, emotional daddy. And we talk about the adult gay male experience from those 2 lenses. Everything from our open relationships, sex party etiquette, what it's like on the apps. Terrible.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why we need a whole episode. It's fucking horrible out there.
Mhm.
Shame, confidence, all the things that we experience as adult gay men.
Yes.
Oh.
Which are a lot of the same muddy themes and
Muddy,
topics that we are discussing. So
yeah.
I'm loving this crossover right now. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Delightful. And today we're here primarily to talk about the muddiness of recovery and addiction.
Yeah.
So how many years sober are you from crystal meth?
I have not used crystal meth in 7 years.
Wow.
And yes, thank you so
Huge.
much.
Huge.
And
Amazing.
the reason that I say I'm a year back is because I was slipping on other substances. I allowed myself like a lot of gray. My program kind of fell apart in COVID because I stopped connecting with people. People stopped connecting with me. My addict brain was like, honey. Also, my addict's brain is a fucking babe. He's
I'm sure.
so hot,
Of
and
course
he
he
is
is.
so nice.
Obviously.
Yeah.
He's so nice to me, right?
Of
He's-
course. You deserve it.
Yeah,
you
he's very
deserve it.
generous.
You deserve it.
You deserve it.
He is a daddy who is so proud of me. And when I was spending, I fortunately got to keep my job in COVID, but I was spending 8 to 10 hours a day on Zoom. And Daddy Addict was like, honey, you work so hard. You don't need to go to a Zoom meeting. And it just like slowly but surely kind of started to dismantle.
Well, the gateway I remember you saying was you started allowing yourself weed gummies. That's what it was. Wasn't weed the gateway
Yeah.
for you?
And here's the thing, like
in that gray
Which
area
is
of sobriety.
a wild thing. That's the first time I've heard of weed being a gateway drug.
I mean, I definitely
Never
heard
been
of-
a gateway drug
It was
until right
gateway
now.
drug in like Dare when we were in
Yeah.
school, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Weed,
Yeah,
you
gonna
will
get
be
it."
homeless and
Yeah.
you're gonna die if you take weed.
Yeah.
Smoke.
Yeah. So
You know,
PSA to the kids.
I think
weed
they
is
said
awesome.
if you
Yeah.
take weed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if you
yeah,
take
yeah,
weed,
yeah.
that's what it was.
That commercial with like they crack the eggs open and they're
This is your brain.
this is your brain on drugs. Yes. Oh my god.
Oh God.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay,
Okay,
So, you know, I slowly introduced edibles back in, and I thought it was so cute to be like, I'm California sober, which is like definitely a thing. And that
define
works.
California sober.
California sober is people who is people. Wow, English, crushing it.
It's day one day post Pride, so
Yeah.
we're giving everyone a little grace today.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I'll be new daddy
You'll
for today.
interpret.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Daddy.
My understanding is people who refer to themselves as California sober do not drink alcohol or do hard drugs. However, there is space for things like marijuana or mushrooms. Or even like therapist assisted like MDMA
Okay.
or ketamine,
Uh-huh.
if that wasn't necessarily like their drug of choice
Yeah.
Mhm.
while they were in active addiction.
Got it.
So if like they only ever did alcohol and then marijuana helps them with their anxiety or with like being in social situations and it doesn't drive them to drink, it's okay for
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you were in your California sober moment.
I was in my California.
Over the pandemic.
Yeah,
pandemic, okay.
yeah. Things started to open up. My husband and I went to P-Town and Daddy Addict was like, let's get some edibles to sleep better. And such a soft, soothing voice, right?
Yeah.
And my husband, who knows that the quickest way for me to stop doing anything is to be told what to do, has always given me like a very long leash with my own recovery. So when I said I want to reintroduce edibles, he very sweetly was like, it's your recovery. Like, if you think it's time, it's time. So he and I started doing edibles together. And the thing that made it so dangerous later was that nothing happened. Like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Everything was fine for years.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't drink, I didn't do crystal meth. I just like did edibles once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I found was I was using them specifically for like large social engagements and for sex. And the older I get, the more like introverted I have become, the more time I need to recharge. And I found that because they were on the table, I was more willing to engage socially and more willing to like put myself in riskier sexual situations because I had this aid. So I was like using the socializing or sex as an excuse to just get high,
To get high.
which is addict behavior.
And when you say, so it was just edibles, not like smoking weed, right? And what kind of, like a specific kind of edible? And when you say you needed them for, or was helpful for you in social situations,
Yeah.
it would help you be more conversational with people?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Like just like move into the approach, like get less,
Yeah.
be less in my head.
Yeah.
Go for anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety, especially if it was socializing amongst like gay men, 'cause
Yeah.
that can be very intimidating for all of us.
Yeah.
In what way?
No idea.
I mean, I don't know. I'm like a 10, so I just
That's
wait
what
for
I'm
people to
saying.
I just wait for
That's
people
what
to
I'm
come talk
yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I think all human beings have certain insecurities, and I think gay men, amongst other gay men, it's very easy to compare and despair. My husband doesn't look like that. I don't even have a husband. My boyfriend doesn't look like that. I
Yeah.
don't even have a boyfriend. My pecs don't look like that. My outfit doesn't like that. I can't even afford to fucking be here. I took 3 subway trains
Quite
inside the
literally.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot. There's a lot of compare despair. And I think a lot of that is rooted in our trauma from being othered as a child, but not understanding that we were othered and letting other people tell us that we were othered. Yeah, by calling us faggots and sissies. You know?
Literally writing down for, like, wrote that exact. I talked to my therapist about comparison last week, and it is oftentimes rooted in trauma and at a young age when you are othered, when you feel like you are othered or you feel like you are somehow separate from the group, you start paying way more attention to social cues and social positioning so that you don't ever put yourself in a position to be vulnerable. So you are just more attuned to social positioning and where you sit within places. And then that train of thought just gets built on over years, which is, it was so helpful for me to hear that about I struggled deeply with comparison. I think everyone does. I think everyone does. But I think it's a thing that has become a real impediment for me recently, where it's like having that understanding of like, oh no, this came from somewhere. So like being able to kind of trace it back and be like, okay, now we know where it came from. Now we can start to address it a little differently. But that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing I want
It comes up all the time. My poor therapist, if he's even listening to this, hey girl, all I talk about is
Mine listens
compare
to
and
my
despair.
podcast, which I really appreciate. He's like, I come in with so much context. This is so much easier.
Oh my god, I love it.
That's so helpful.
Yes.
I love that.
You're like, you're
so
not getting
helpful.
paid for that hour
Yeah.
listening to my podcast,
Yeah.
but you're doing it as
But you're doing the
research.
work.
Yeah.
Doing the
Yeah,
work.
right. They're doing research. That is very powerful. My therapist has listened as well, which like made my heart like swell. I was like, oh my god, he listened. That's so sweet.
Grace needs to step up.
Yeah, come on, Grace, step up. Okay, first, actually, I want to finish. What was the, I guess not the relapse, but what was
what got me back into sobriety?
What got you back into sobriety and this redefined version of sobriety for you?
Oh,
Well, sorry, can we just back up
yeah,
for a second?
sure.
So you were using a lot of weed over the pandemic, using a lot of weed, ingesting a lot of weed,
Using drugs.
taking weed. And
Doing
then
the weed. Doing the weed. Yep.
you were experiencing weed, and then were there other substances that came after that as well?
there were. And I always said no to pills and powders, but, and this is where it gets like extremely low rent.
This one blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have always been a poppers queen. Always, always, always.
Alex, you know what poppers are.
I know what poppers
Okay,
are, but
I'm
for us,
just double check.
but thank you for
Yes.
double checking. But we might have listeners and viewers who don't know what poppers are.
So for anyone out there who does not know what poppers are, they are VCR cleaner.
Nail polish remover.
Nail polish remover.
Mhm.
And it is a recreational drug, essentially, that is geared towards sex. It's very big in the gay community. A lot of homosexuals use it during intercourse, but also it has become very big in the straight community, out and about at like
On the
clubs,
dance floor.
On the dance floor,
Mhm.
people are now like on the dance floor, like hitting bottles of poppers, and so it's in a small little glass bottle. It's essentially, yes, nail polish remover and or like VCR cleaner, but it tends to, for 30 to 45 seconds, enhance the moment.
Yes.
So it's non-committal. It's low stakes, even though you're probably definitely burning brain cells and hurting your lungs. It's not a good drug.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, but
Don't you?
I
drugs,
actually
guys.
I've
after
never
The
done
new-
them. I've definitely never ever touched
The
poppers.
new gateway drug.
Yeah.
I actually, once I decided to put down the meth, because meth and poppers for me, it was crazy. I went to an ENT because I was very scared that I had like permanent damage. And I just told him, I was like, hey, this is what I've been doing for like years. And if you could just scope my throat, that would be great.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he was like, you're fine, but like, please stop
Yeah.
Yeah.
behavior. I was like, okay, thank you.
Great. Thank
Heard.
you.
Okay. So
And
Well,
Daddy
speaking-
Addict, of course, was like, see, nothing
Nothing
happened.
happened.
You're fine.
Nothing
Oh my
happened.
God, Daddy Addict. He's a problem.
Oh, he's hot.
Oh,
He's
I
so
want to
good,
talk
and he's-
about where Daddy Attic was born.
So
but
you fell. So it was like weed and poppers, and then where did it go?
Okay, so this is where my Ohio value orientation kicks in. So there is a particular kind of poppers that's actually an aerosol can. Instead of using like the little amber bottles, you like spray it into a bandana or onto a pillowcase and huff it that way.
Cool.
They're very expensive and they go very quickly. So I was like, I'm not going to pay $35 a can for these Primo poppers. I'm going to start buying keyboard cleaner in bulk. So I started to, because I had no program, had like my entire sober network had fallen apart because I
Mhm.
wasn't drinking and wasn't doing meth. I thought I was sober. I was huffing keyboard cleaner to incapacitation daily for like 2 months. And it just got so messy. Like I had the keyboard cleaner freezes in the can and I had second degree chemical burns on my hands, which my husband noticed. And of course, because I'm a liar, was like, yeah, I like burn it on the stove.
My God. I
I
fell
grabbed
down the
a hot
stairs.
pan. I grabbed a hot pan
What were
full
you-
of keyboard cleaner. It was a hot pan full of keyboard cleaner.
What were you cooking that burns the skin off your pinky, your ring finger, and the palm of your hand? Yeah, crazy.
Dinner for you.
So, I had an incident that is very funny to discuss in retrospect, but
You don't have to talk about it. Or you can.
I love it because I
Yeah.
think it's hilarious after the
Okay.
fact. So, I'm like getting high on keyboard cleaner, so much so that I'm like carrying it around in my backpack so I can like take little hits here.
Were
and
you
there.
also cleaning keyboards at least?
I was.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
She's a Capricorn and efficient. So I was like, if anyone asks, they're gonna see how clean this keyboard is.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
know why I'm carrying this around.
I'm burning my hands because I'm cleaning these keyboards so hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly. So I was on my way I live in Brooklyn. I'm on my way to kickboxing. I have like an hour to spare. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go into the Whole Foods bathroom and just like get a few hits, relax a little bit. And
In the Whole Foods bathroom. That's
And-
where I want to relax. Is the Whole Foods
Absolute-
bathroom.
Well, at least it's a next level bathroom.
That's
you know,
true. That's true. It's organic.
it is.
that's the funniest part of this story. My friends were like, your white trash ass is huffing keyboard cleaner, which is some under the bridge shit in a Whole Foods
In a
The Whole
bathroom.
Foods bathroom. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Just go to like a Morton's grocery, grabbing fusilli pasta
Yeah.
and
With like a La Croix and some cashew
Yeah.
butter and
Yeah.
like quinoa crackers.
Oh, it was actually blueberries and coconut water.
Okay.
Because
Sure
I was,
was.
again, Capricorn efficient. I was like, if I'm gonna go get high in the Whole Foods bathroom, I'm also gonna do some shopping.
Yeah, get some quality
do some
snacks.
shopping, sort of build up for kickboxing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I need
Okay.
a snack. So I lock myself in a stall and I start huffing. And the next thing I know, I'm outside the stall, pushed up against the wall. I am attached to an oxygen tank. There's a defibrillator on the ground. There's 3 paramedics, 2 New York City police officers, and like 4 Whole Foods employees. And my biggest concern wasn't even for myself. I was like, who died? Who died? Like, who did I hurt while I was like acting very poorly out in the world? So the paramedics were able to convince me that I did not hurt anyone. I was only a danger to myself. And here I need to admit some privilege. The police were freaking me the fuck out. I was like, this is really bad that the police are here and they need to go. So I actually was able to negotiate their departure. I said to the paramedics, I was like, I will do whatever you need.
You are definitely a white man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, of
100%.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Like I
Yeah.
I admit that. I was like, I will do
Yeah.
whatever you need me to do if you will ask them to leave. I will
Wow.
go with you, but they need to go first.
That
Yeah.
is deep privilege.
I'm aware.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm doing the walk of shame up the stairs at
Oh,
the Whole Foods.
They're
It's-
walking. Okay.
Yeah. They're
You're able to
walking me
walk?
out. This
Okay.
Whole Foods is like completely subterranean, and of course the escalator wasn't working. So I was like, okay, let's just parade up the stairs. And I've been in New York for a long time and Brooklyn for a long time. So I was like, this would be the moment that I run into someone when I'm like incapacitated walking up the
Oh my
stairs.
gosh.
So they put me in the back of an ambulance and I start negotiating again. I'm just like, these words came out of my mouth. I'm sober. Like-
I'm fine.
Sure, Jan.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
fine.
Wow.
Wow. And
Judson.
that was, and when was that?
This was like May of 2023. Yeah.
I remember you losing your phone, and that's what else was going on, right?
Yeah. I
remember.
lost, like, it just got so bad so quickly. Like, I
Yeah.
lost my phone. Like, work started to suffer. I was moody. The whole time I was like lying to my husband.
Yeah.
I was able to negotiate my way out of the back of this ambulance. Again, privilege and psychopathic charm. And this is where it's really crazy.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't want the ambulance to take off is because I can't let my husband find out this way. Also, I can't let my husband find out and have a $15,000 medical bill on my hands. So they let me go, and then I went home and kept using. Because Daddy Addicts was like, good job.
That was
You
a
got-
traumatic
you
Way
experience.
to,
You
way to
deserve
get
it.
out of
That
that. Way
out.
to get out of that.
if you can get out of that.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Daddy Addict.
Yeah.
When did he start coming around?
Probably when I was 27.
Okay.
Because I had, my story's kind of boring. Like, it was,
They
thought-
usually are, though.
they're so
That
boring.
was
most
for
we've
us.
had
So
at Alex,
boring.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did another episode about addiction and recovery with our friend, and he similarly said the same thing. He was like, "I've just come from a pretty chill, normal upbringing." Like, so it's I want to talk about that. Is where most people think that they are invincible from getting attached to any sort of substance abuse or drug like this, especially crystal meth. You probably were one of those people as well. Tell us
Oh,
about yes.
Without a doubt.
Let's talk about 27-year-old daddy addict and how things fell into place.
I mean, 27-year-old me had been drinking, doing weed, Molly, whatever, for 15 years without any real circumstances.
Alcohol was never too much of a concern for you?
No, not really. Like, I started partying young. I had friends,
Yeah.
so it was like easy to see that my behavior was being like replicated around me. And I always knew that the best way to get found out would be to let like my real life fall apart. So I excelled in school. I was in every club. I went to college on scholarship.
Yep.
I went to grad school on scholarship. I moved to New York and got a job.
This
So,
is the
like-
Velvet Rage coming out.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. This is just me compensating the
Yes.
entire time. And at 27 years old, at a sex party, I got introduced to crystal meth, and Daddy was there because he was like, "This is the thing that you have been looking for your entire life, and you deserve this.
Did you
You're
know what it
such
was?
a good boy." I don't think I was able to like name him until later, but I was, not to be dramatic, but I was hooked. Like, I think even if you're not touched by the wand with alcohol or other drugs, the way crystal meth operates in your brain and in your body, like, you will get addicted. Like, there's no such
Yeah.
thing as like, yeah, I'm just buzzed on meth.
That is so, because when you say it, this was the thing you've been looking for. Like, I think Yeah, for people who don't know what it's like, it's just a completely different kind of high. Yeah, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it just
I was so calm. I was so confident, so top of the world. I was like everything I have worked for to like get the fuck out of Ohio and like get my education and move to New York. Like I have arrived. And then I just became singularly obsessed with like getting and using. Like nothing happened for 15 years of like casual recreational drug use, and then my life completely fell apart in 4 years.
wow.
Yeah, like that's how quickly. I think for a lot of people it happens even more quickly. I think 4 years is gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what was happening in that 4 years?
What was the craziest, I think, is that I had met the man who became my husband 3 years before I was in, or 3 weeks, 3 short weeks before I was introduced to crystal meth.
Wow.
And at
Wow.
the same time, I was also working in restaurant land, which is like a safe haven for addicts and alcoholics.
Yep.
So he only ever knew me as this sort of like sometimes here, sometimes not here, like pretty happy go lucky, but also moody. And he kind of just dealt with it because when I showed up, but then I would also like disappear for long stretches.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to get out of restaurant land. I was going fucking broke. I lost 2 jobs. I ended up getting $18,000 in credit card debt because I was taking cash advances off my credit card
To buy
to
meth.
buy meth. And it just, yeah, it just got
Snowballed.
it just snowballed. And the whole time I was like, I'm fine.
Totally.
Did you know what when you your first time trying it? Did you understand or know what crystal meth was and what the potential harm was? Like, were you just like, oh, I don't know what this thing is, but I'll try it, or you're like, I know what that is, and I'm gonna go for it, and this is a bad idea, but I'm gonna do
I
it.
didn't think it was a bad idea because if you go back to the 15 years prior, every substance I had ever used up until that moment, I had control over.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, how cliche to like use meth and get addicted to it. Like, I'll be fine. So it was somewhere in the middle. Like, I
Okay.
knew, but I also thought, given previous experience, that I would be like, way okay.
And there must be many people who have fallen into that trap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We had this conversation. I had I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I had an awkward hookup situation where I went to someone's apartment, and it was my first time. I generally avoid the clues. You talked about it on your podcast. There's like clues and signs all over all of the adult sex apps, or hookup apps, even dating apps sometimes that will indicate that someone is specifically looking to smoke crystal meth, and it's all so coded. But I generally have been looking out for it because I'm like, I want to stay away from that. I don't want to be involved in it whatsoever, just considering my family's history with addiction. But point being was that I had gone to a hookup, and someone while I was there asked, he was like, oh, like could we party together? And I said no, of course. But I was so terrified to suddenly be in the room with this because although I said to myself, I was like, oh, I will never do it. I will never touch it. This is not for me. And I felt that in the moment, but you never know. Like, what if I
never
was
know.
depressed that day?
You
Or if
never
I was
know.
like, fuck it. Like, why not just
Let's
give it a try?
try.
Or
Try
I
everything
also
once, yeah.
naively think that I am stronger than this and that, you know what, like, oh, I'm not going to get addicted to that. I know better. I have that in my head, naively so. So it's scary how accessible and how quickly people get roped into it. And we have so many peers now, especially in the Broadway community, which is so heartbreaking. There are a lot of people and a lot of dancers and a lot of performers who have fallen into the trap of it. I think just because of constant rejection and
Yes.
having it's the dichotomy of having to be at 110% on stage and then you're a complete zombie during the day because you're exhausted, and that up and down, and then having also your entire daytime's free. So I have quite a few friends who have fallen into that trap and that pattern. It's really scary. But so what's your advice to people who, I mean, I already know what it is. What's your advice to people who think that they're invincible from it and it's not gonna come for them?
You're fucking wrong.
Okay.
You are wildly incorrect. I mean,
Okay.
I think there are people who it just doesn't call to. Like my husband doesn't know the codes. I don't think he's ever even been around anyone partying. I think for anyone that thinks they are invincible to that particular drug, you are probably the most at risk. So it's
Mm.
probably great not to get started. There are cues like online on how to avoid it. And like, no matter how hot he is, as hard as it's going to be, like, just leave.
Just leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're a beautiful and talented, special person. Like, don't let this be the one that takes you out.
What was your turning point, or what was like, was there a day, was there a moment where you were like, gotta get help?
Yeah. You know, when you're an addict, there are always these lines in the sand, and then you cross them and just draw a new line, right? And I had done that over and over and over again. And I had left the restaurant world and I had made my way into the sales sphere where I am now professionally. And I used on a business trip. And like, I went out drinking and I came back from the bars late. There was a guy in front of the hotel that I could tell was fucked up. And I just was like, hi, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
So I stayed up all night using with him. I showed up to this trade show 3 hours late. I muddled into the mud. I muddled my way through it. I took a comp day on Monday and went back to work on Tuesday. And my boss pulled me into her office and was like, I don't know what that was. I think I know, but I don't want to know. I want you to get some rest and get some help. And I was like, holy shit, like, this is all in the balance, right? And I had never told my husband in 4 years. And that day I went home and was like, here's everything. Like, this is what happened. This is what I've been doing.
my
This is who I
God.
am. Like, this is everything that happened. And he was amazing.
Of course.
He was amazing. Like, he was amazing.
Wow.
He was I had like, my self-esteem was so low at that time that I had sex with this guy at the hotel with the intention of seroconverting. Like, he told me he was positive and I was not on prep. And I was like, just fucking give it to me. Like, I'm so sick of worrying about it. Like, just give it to me.
Can you define what that means for followers who don't?
Yeah. It means to essentially become, in layman's terms, HIV positive.
Okay.
So I went home and I told my husband, and he helped me. He called a doctor who was like, we need an emergency like PEP prescription, post-exposure prophylaxis. He helped me find my first meeting, and he was amazing because he just like never knew.
Yeah.
And I think rightly so. He's become less and less tolerant over time because he's like, honey,
Yeah.
you should know better.
Can we talk about
Well,
that?
Yeah.
And also just the courage of coming home and telling him everything.
I've never been so scared. And I hadn't eaten in 4 days. I hadn't slept in 4 days.
Yeah.
I'm standing on like 20th Street outside like a little kebab kiosk. And
Yeah.
it smells so good, but I can't eat. And I'm just on the phone with my husband bawling, like, I have to come home. I have to talk to you. And I just like laid it all out.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That is crazy. That's a big part of muddiness with addiction and recovery is your interpersonal relationships, especially your close relationships like your husband or your partner or your family members. So considering that, I don't know, I'm curious, did he know during those 4 years, did he have any suspicions? And B, what is it like now navigating your relationship, even in the midst of your keyboard cleaner relapse-ish? You know, like, how is that shifting? Currently, still, how is your relationship? How do you navigate that because you're an addict indefinitely forever now?
Forever. Which he understands.
Yes.
I mean, thanks, Al-Anon. Like, he goes and he gets it. He's like, I didn't cause this. I can't control it and I can't cure it. I can only support you. I don't think he knew.
Sorry, can you say those again? I think that's
Oh,
such
yeah,
a
yeah,
helpful
yeah.
thing.
Didn't cause it. Can't cure it. Can't control it.
Yeah. Correct.
This is what people who love addicts find out about their relationship to their loved one's addiction along the way, right? Because so much of it is about control. Like, I can help you do this. Like, there's a little bit of like savior in there, and it's like,
of course,
I need to be willing to help myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. He did not know because I was like decent about hiding it. Back to the whole, like, I'd worked in restaurants. I disappeared for days at a time. He ever only knew this person that was like kind of erratic anyway. But then once I told him, he was like, got it. Got it. Like,
now it makes sense
like
in
all
hindsight.
he put all the pieces together and was like, what about this time? And what about this time? And what about this time? And I was like, meth, meth, meth. Yeah.
Was that a relief for him in some capacity of thinking that like, oh, this erratic behavior is actually rooted in a deep problem? Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that sounds complicated to frame it that way. Like, was there like just having an answer of being like, all of these things that were question marks in the past now have a definitive answer and now we can move forward from that? Was that a bit of a relief in some capacity for him or you?
I think because he, you know, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. Like he's a solver. I don't think he saw any relief in it. I thought he just saw like a ton of worry, a ton of work, a ton of worry, and like the biggest question mark, what's going to happen to us? Like, can I be with a person who is this? Who is this? And I think in retrospect, because we talk a lot about it, he can look back and see that obviously our relationship is much better with my being a sober person. With this recent relapse, it's interesting because we're in a sexually open relationship. We're not looking for like a third person. Neither one of us really wants a boyfriend. I'm like, I don't want to live in fucking Doodle. Like, I don't want. Like, scheduling 2 people is
exhausting.
Free.
Exhausting.
Tuesday the 17th
Thursday
at
morning?
6 p.m.
Yeah.
6 a.m.?
Yeah. So we're sexually open, but you can still betray your spouse. And I think when I was actually I know when I was lapsing, because there's a big component of like lying and deceit, it was a betrayal to him. He thought I was living my life in a certain way. I was not being honest about it at all. And we've had to work through that. And I always, like, the more I talk about this, the shame just kind of like washes away. But what I never want people to think, and I don't think that they do, but it still needs to be said by me, I never want people to think that my husband is a weak person and getting walked on because he has stayed with me. He is one of the strongest people I know, and I don't think that you can love an addict in the way that he does and support an addict in the way that he does and seek an understanding of addiction in the way that he does as a weak person. He's amazing.
Completely.
He's
agree. He is
amazing.
amazing.
Sounds like
Yes.
total the opposite of
Yeah.
you know, it's like, and I love what you said about, you know, the shame kind of melting away each time you talk about it. It's like it's such an important shame is such a huge driver in creating a bigger problem, you know, like when you were talking about the courage of telling him after 4 years, like that is the fear of that, and the fear of saying something that you're like, this could destroy this person, this is gonna destroy, this could destroy the relationship, this is certainly, I'm not in a great place, and but you do it anyway.
I'm coming down right now, and I have to go.
Yeah. It's just, oh man, I mean, I could talk about shame for hours.
Let's dig into shame for a second.
Yeah.
though, because so much of addiction is fuck, I fucked up. Like, why did I do this again? But then we're all therapized. We all go to therapy. You know, we're constantly being told that we need to but no, show yourself some love and kindness. But when even today, I don't know, it was Pride weekend and I definitely drank way too much vodka. And I'm beating myself up about it all morning long. But I should be like, no, it's okay. Love yourself. Where did this come from? How do you deal with, that nasty ass voice in the back of your head of shame that is trying to rip you apart? And then also still try to be no, be kind, be careful, love myself, be chill. What's your journey with shame in that regard?
Because shame has the opposite voice of the daddy addict. Because daddy addict is babe, you deserve it. And shame is you're a piece of shit, so you might as well.
Well, and what's interesting is shame is daddy addict's shadow. They're one and the same.
They are.
They are this, that one cannot come
You're in a
without the
throuple.
other. You know?
I'm in a throuple.
Talk
with
about the
daddy
doodle.
addict and
Now you're in a doodle.
God, you really are.
I got a schedule time with all three of these motherfuckers.
God.
One of the phrases I love in sobriety is put down the bat and pick up a feather.
I stole that in the last episode that we did because of the conversation that we had on the phone regarding all of this. We had a different conversation about that and you brought that up and I thought it was so beautiful. Can you elaborate on that and what it means to you?
It's very, it's especially easy for people who have any time in recovery under their belt to lapse, come back and say, I would have had 3 months, or I would have had 2 years, or I would have had 5 years. And it's just kind of like, honey, we didn't do the things. So the outcome is this, and we just pick it up and keep moving forward. I didn't have a lot of shame about the reason I was lapsing. I feel the most empathy for people who are like, I'm going to meetings, I have a sponsor, I pray every day, I talk to God, I do the steps, and the obsession is still not removed because I wasn't doing anything to remove the obsession, right? I wasn't working at it at all. So it was easy for me to understand that I wasn't doing the work, therefore I lapsed. My daddy addict was helping me not do the work. So coming back was really easy and very like joyful and gracious. And the reality is, no one in those rooms gives a fuck that you lapsed. They're just like, this sounds so serious, but like they're just so happy you didn't fucking die.
Yeah.
They're like,
They're
I'm
happy
so
that you're
glad
back.
you're here. I'm
They're
so
happy
glad
you're
you're
back.
here. And it's hard to hear that at first. So I don't have a lot of shame around my using. I have more shame around remember how we were talking about how hard it is to be gay in New York City? I'm not as kind to myself as I would like to be about my body, my dick, my wallet, like all the things that would
I
like
love all three of those things about you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Those are my favorite things about you.
Judson, thank you. You know, so I don't have a lot of shame about being an addict because I just am. And, you know, I let daddy addict take the wheel instead of do the work. But I don't talk to myself as nicely as I could about what it's like to be the person that I am, which made doing this podcast that I'm on so nice because the feedback has been not about my physical appearance or my cock size or my finances. It's just like, hey, you said this thing, and because you were open and honest, like it helped me have an open and honest conversation. And it's like, oh, that's the service I'm providing.
Yeah.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
That's exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
Are you finding, has anyone reached out to you in regards to, you know, talking about crystal meth on your pod? Has anyone been like reached out saying like, I need help, or do you have any resources, or what you've said has brought like, you know, some revelations to mind about me and my behavior? Like, has that come to you yet?
It hasn't come to me yet. We do have a full recovery episode coming. Like, I'm very open about it. Like, I'm sure that it gets addressed at some point because at this point, 10 years in recovery, it's the window through which I see the world, right? And also, it's just like the slogans are so quippy.
Yeah.
Sobriety is actually great for the modern attention span because it's just so many, just
Very
like little ass
TikTok-y.
phrases.
Can we get a
Sobriety
clip in
is
10
TikTok.
seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah, give us a few. What are your favorite like
Yeah.
sobriety quips?
My absolute number one is a lapse in abstinence is not the same thing as giving up on it.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
I also like it's not perfect, it's not permanent, it's not personal. That's a good one.
Absolutely.
And those are the two that are coming to mind.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you make someone do something on their phone, all of a sudden they don't know what the fuck is going on,
Yeah.
and they're like pulling up their calculator to take a phone number.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to be asked what the slogans are, like on camera.
Oh yeah, of course. We
Nailed it.
we definitely put you under pressure there.
You nailed it though.
What
I'm
are-
gonna text you 47 of them in about
Yeah.
15 minutes.
We'll put it on the
Let's put 'em on
resources
our-
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the next one.
Where do you feel like currently in this moment with your sobriety, and what do you want your sobriety to be moving forward in the future? What, you know, like if you could wave a magic wand and say, this is my sobriety journey forever, what is it?
I feel really strong. I feel really proud. I know that I am doing the work, and I feel like my network, which is so important. Here's a little quippy one. The only way to do sobriety wrong is alone. I feel like my sobriety
Mom loved that one.
my sobriety network is huge at this point. I have regular meetings, and you know, I may not meet everyone for a meal or coffee or whatever, but when I see them at the meetings, it's very friendly, very supportive. I've made good friends in sobriety who I hang out with. I talk openly about it. I talk to my husband. I talk to my friends. I feel really strong. Like the thing that I'm most focused on chemical wise right now is vaping, which is fine. Like the way I think about it, it's like if I can quit the substances that were sometimes fun, I can definitely quit the substance whose only job it is to do the substance with no fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no upside to nicotine. The whole goal of nicotine is just to do fucking nicotine.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
literally.
Right.
At least when I got
It's not
drunk, I
like-
like partied.
Yeah, it's not like a vape and orgy. Like, unless we need to start. No, I'm kidding.
What do I want it to look like, though?
Yeah.
I would like to go through the steps again because I think it's a good process of self-discovery. I feel like I've just learned so much after 10 years. I do like wear sobriety like a loose garment. I feel like I'm not too programmy, not too annoying. I'm very upfront about my sobriety, but ideally, I would love to find out what it's like to get 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, like completely substance free. Because the thing that's wild is there's like new drugs.
Oh, I don't.
Oh, gosh.
I don't even.
Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell us.
Okay.
about them. Yeah, no.
No, there's
No,
new
I'm
drugs.
kidding, I'm
There's
kidding.
like new drugs.
New.
And
And we
there's
haven't
a-
even heard of.
There's new drugs, and there's a part of me that's like, babe.
Daddy.
Daddy's like, honey.
Can you identify when that voice? Can you?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Thank God.
You know.
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to separate it now.
Yeah. But daddy's like, honey, you quit too soon.
Wild
like
West.
you're not even gonna
New frontier.
Yeah, you don't get
Yeah.
to do
You don't get to try those.
C2BX5.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck
Oh
that is.
my god, that sounds
I
like
just
an
made that
AI
up.
drug.
It's
I
like
know.
an AI drug.
you just put the headset on and you
Oh
just
my
fall to the
The
floor
new
like
drug.
Alex Mack.
Alex Mack. Yeah.
Absolutely, I dropped that reference.
Oh my gosh. Just because it's a little bit of a contrast to our last episode specifically about addiction and recovery. How do you feel like specifically about complete abstinence compared to other people who are still in recovery that are trying to find, some gray areas? I know we talked about it earlier with gateway weed, but
Right, yeah.
obviously it doesn't work for you, or you are feeling that it doesn't work for you. How do you feel it could work or does work for other people?
I
It's
mean,
complicated.
So sobriety is super, super personal. There's also a lot of judgment within sobriety, which seems like a judgment because it is.
Yes.
So I do what works for me. And the reality is I put down meth and I picked up alcohol. I put down alcohol and I picked up weed. I put down weed and I picked up keyboard cleaner. I put down keyboard cleaner and I picked up cigarettes. I put down cigarettes and I picked up vaping. I put down vaping and now I am a maniac on the apps.
Just trying to get
like
dick
it
everywhere.
is just fucking whack-a-mole for me.
Transferable addiction. It just
It's
goes from one thing.
transferable. So for me, understanding that there is a huge gray area that's not meth, it's not alcohol. Like I personally have to abstain from everything that is a mood or mind altering substance unless prescribed by a doctor. But like I'm not on benzodiazepines or sleep aids. Like I take an antipsychotic and an antidepressant and that's it. I'm not so strict that I won't take like Dayquil. I'm not a martyr, but alcohol might be someone's only problem. And if they can do weed comfortably and not drink, like good on them. But they're only going to find that out if they try not to drink first. Try not to drink first.
Yeah,
Right.
once it's removed.
So
Right.
I don't judge anyone else's program because I don't want mine judged.
Of course.
Yeah.
I do think that inhalants are not chill. Like if you're like if you if
That's the sound clip.
Good to know. Good to
That's-
know. Okay.
if you're not drinking but doing keyboard cleaner, you're not sober.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. I think that's a perfect place to
Perfect
end.
place to end.
We have we have 10 rapid fire questions that.
Oh my god,
like
I'm
to
so
do.
excited for these. Britney Spears is the answer to all of them.
Absolutely.
Brittany.
You are correct.
Brittany Jean.
It's Brittany, bitch. First thing that comes to you.
You got it.
Here we go. Least favorite school subject.
Oh. This is so rapid.
This is
Start over. Okay.
okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Least favorite school subject.
Social studies.
Early mornings or late nights.
Early mornings.
If you could magically choose any other career path in life, what would it be?
Professional podcaster / comedian.
Yes.
Horror or comedy?
Comedy.
Would you rather own a yacht or a private jet?
Wow. A yacht?
No wrong
Okay.
answers.
Would you rather eat one live cockroach or go through 7 years of IRS tax audits?
Oh my god, I'll eat a fucking cockroach.
Okay. Would Ariel from The Little Mermaid make it on Broadway?
No, she would not.
Okay. Is Kermit the Frog gay?
He's bisexual.
Well done. Okay, kill, fuck, marry. Paper towels, butt wipes, Q-tips.
I would marry Q-tips.
Oh, what a choice.
I would marry Q-tips. I would fuck butt wipes, and I would kill paper towels.
Really?
Yeah.
They're
You
so
could
bad
fuck
for the
paper towel
environment.
rolls up. You literally could.
Yeah, but like I love the earth.
Oh my god. Okay, this one's a favorite. This is an inside joke, but I'm excited for you to define it. Define duck toast.
Oh, duck toast. On the menu at Gramercy Tavern was a dish called duck toast. It was a very firm toast point, and on top was a mound of duck gruyere. So that's a mix of like duck liver mousse and chunks of like duck. This is the term that we use in a very small portion of the gay community, aka our group of friends.
Literally just Judson,
to
myself,
refer to
my brother Dennis and our friend Dana.
To refer to like gay dad bod. Like think of the guys that like taught softball in high school. Taught softball.
Softball rehearsal.
It's like gay dad bod, like a firm undercarriage with a little bit of cushion on top.
Yeah.
Is duck toast.
Like used to be a jock and used to be super fit, but they've like
Yes.
let themselves go a little bit.
Yes.
So like there's a layer of fat, but like if you poke, there's
It's
It's hard
there
underneath. There's a
somewhere.
toast
It
point
is.
under
Yeah.
there.
And then the even better is that like they're a little bit insecure, and so like it like makes it even hotter because you're like, oh, like I'm winning here because I'm the prize, and you think you're not fit, but actually you're wicked fucking hot right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Duck toast. So many
I'm
layers.
such an emotional manipulator around duck toast.
Duck toast is my favorite. Well, that's rapid fire
That's-
questions.
Thank you so much. Those
Oh
were
my
super fun.
What an absolute
I'm gonna go fuck some
delight.
butt wipes.
Yeah.
Send vids or it didn't count.
It's your new OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Butt wipe fucker.
White fucker 79.
my
Well, it was
God.
such a delight to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
This
you
was
so much.
amazing.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait
Where
to have
can
you
we-
on Dads and Daddies.
Yes, and where can we,
Yes.
speaking of, where can we follow you and where can we follow Dads and Daddies?
On Instagram at Dads and Daddies Pod.
Mhm.
And we also have a website, dadsanddaddies.com. We distribute the pod through Podbean, so it's on all the majors. Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, Amazon Music. It's on YouTube.
Great.
There's no video, it's just audio, but
Okay.
hell, it's there. We got 3 listeners.
Spread it out.
so-
Spread it
Right.
out. Yeah. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you
on
so
the
much.
podcast and on the sobriety.
Thank you.
Yes.
I know this is a really tricky conversation to have, so I really appreciate you being open and vulnerable and honest. And for listeners out there, we all have a really dark sense of humor, so please don't take our jokes and laughter on this topic. Don't mistake it for us not genuinely knowing that it's a big fucking serious deal and people have to be really careful. So thank you for your
My
your
absolute
vulnerability.
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. And I laugh really hard at meetings. The shit
Great.
that comes out of meetings is great.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having
okay.
me.
We love you, Judson.
I love you back.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.